Yes, I did. Just getting the live stream up in case somebody shows up to listen to the live stream. So I guess we're ready to do our thing. 1 second. Yes, I did actually. Why? Do you want to take over the YouTubing duties? Okay. But yes, I knew that paid accounts could do that. Yeah, but if you have it hooked up every time you want it to you can only have one per account. So every time you want it to live stream, you might accidentally do it into the Techno Buffet account. No, because I don't know what you're doing during the course of the day in terms of your live streaming preferences. Okay. Other other than this, neither do I. So shall we get down to business? This is the Techno Buffet podcast, episode number 597, recorded Thursday, August 18th, 2022, in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So, we are here for another week of the Techno Buffet podcast. You realize in a couple of episodes we get to 600. Oh, well, here's the thing. He said his name was Yuri. Okay, Yuri, if you've started at the very beginning and you go all the way through to now, I'd like to hear some feedback. Have we gotten better or worse? What, he'll write feedback? He works with you, not with me. I can't give him work assignments. I said he works with you. So why does me suggesting it, get him something? I love feet. At least it would be feedback. We don't always get it. Although I do have to appreciate the door-to-door geek for some of his recent feedback, since he has said some things. And I miss Daryl. Haven't heard from Daryl in a while. I say that because I think Daryl still listens, and every so often he'll drop us a line and tell us he's still doing stuff. Anyway, it's been another week. Yeah. I went and gave up on the weather station that I think the company who had me try to service it myself caused me to break, and ordered a used one, and it was supposed to show up today so I could install it. They say delivery by 9 p.m. And guess what's not here? It starts with a W and ends with a station. Yeah. So it says still arriving today, and I just love this. It was out for delivery at 6 a.m. It's now 9 p.m., but they say earlier they were saying delivery by 9. Now it says still arriving today. I'd like to see the package that comes after 9 p.m. in the middle of the woods. It's not coming. I'm not saying it will never come. I'm saying it's not coming tonight. We'll see about tomorrow, but it's definitely not going to be here tonight. That is a promise. Or at least that is a certainty on my part. So that's that story. I did some more tweaks. So I left here. I went back to New York. I came back here and we did the podcast and I did a whirlwind through there. And then here I was doing some work as well on my home automation stuff. I installed the first of the requested CO2 sensors in this house. So I was asked to install eCO2 sensors that would alert when the estimated CO2 reading was above a certain level. So I created my first binary sensor with a lambda in ESP Home. That's not that much of a thrill. It's just that's the first time I've actually done it. Have you ever done that? I don't know. When you say should you have, it's sort of the question of did you have a need to do such a thing? Do you understand what that sort of is? You know what a binary sensor is, correct? Okay, and you know that in Home Assistant you can have binary sensors that are programmed in various ways. Yeah. So, uh-oh. I just checked it and it didn't work. But so what I did was this. So an eCO2 sensor estimates CO2 based on a combination of compounds in the air as well as humidity and temperature. So I hooked this up using one of those little atom, like the little, I think I showed them to you, the M5 stack atom light, which they look like a little button, but it's actually an ESP32 with a connector. So it's a little fancier than putting a little bare board with a bunch of jumpers sticking out of it somewhere, at least visually speaking. So what I did was, since ESP Home allows you to do formulas, I looked up what's considered to be a high VOC level and looks to be a high ECO2 level, and then I set up a binary sensor that would trip and is automatically imported into Home Assistant when you import the ESP Home device. That would essentially say when the settings were too high, and then I thought I set up an alert that would send a note to my phone when that happened. But I just looked, and apparently there are high ECO2 levels in the test area, but I did not get my alert. So we're currently at 1,684 parts per million and rising. And I'm told, admittedly, ECO2 isn't necessarily as reliable as some alternatives, like actual CO2. However, I'm told it really shouldn't go above, I think it's 800. 800 part. Well, it means the air in that room is not circulating. So the whole purpose of this is not necessarily ECO2, it's circulating air. So I want my air to circulate. So the idea is if this is too high, it means it is not. And I should do something about it. So this experiment has not necessarily worked the way that I wanted it to. But I have hopes for the future. We'll see. In the meantime, more projects to do. So I have to make a list of all of the sensor upgrades I need to do. But the reason why I find ESP Home very compelling is that you can actually configure custom components that get imported into Home Assistant as opposed to Tasmota, where what you get is what you get. So it's it's a little more work to do, but it's a lot more customizable. You can compile in modules. And I found what has become one of my favorite ESP Home customizations because it's such a narrow niche that somebody did. Somebody essentially built a module to install a Jewish calendar onto an ESP home device. So, well, it means that you can have a smart plug that on the smart plug, instead of using a third party thing, it knows what Jewish holiday it is and can act accordingly. Yes. Yes. I told you it was an amusing niche, wasn't it? Well, there's a market for well, no, there's a market for this in the Jewish community, but there's not necessarily going to be a market of scale where somebody would necessarily manufacture a product. So the idea of writing a module that you can plug into Home Assistant and then install on a whole bunch of different plugs is really intriguing. So I have to play with that one. I have not compiled a smart plug that knows whether or not it's a Jewish holiday, but I'm interested. Not because I'm doing this. Home Assistant has a Jewish calendar option for that, so I don't necessarily need this, but I think it would be fun to play with. I think so. I like interesting things, but that said, let's see if I've done anything else of not really. I guess it's been a boring weekend since the last time I talked to you. I've been working hard and doing all sorts of projects and clerical work, and here I am. But there were more news stories this week. Now, one of the news stories of which I added several examples to the show notes is that Android 13 apparently came out. Did you hear this? The tablet, the tabloids report on Android updates. I thought they're, I'm not really a tabloid reader, but I always heard that they reported on things like secret love children and aliens. Different tabloids. Uh-uh. Anyway, so a few things came up, but I keep hitting the system update button on my phone, and I still haven't gotten 13. I thought you have an iPhone. Oh, by the way, do you know anybody who wants some lightning cables? I don't know anybody with an iPhone. Well, no, I ordered some micro USB cables. I needed some 10 footers to power these sensors because I needed them to go down to the floor because I wanted the sensors near the ceiling. And when instead of sending me a 10-foot micro USB cable, they sent me a 4 pack of 10-foot micro USB cables. They sent me a 3 pack of lightning cables. And I was trying to explain to Amazon that if I made the mistake, I would be perfectly happy to pay to have it restocked. However, they made the mistake, so I didn't feel that a restocking fee was fair. Vincent at Amazon did not agree with me. However, Vincent's boss did. I shouldn't have had to talk to Vincent's boss. Well, let me ask you a question. Excuse me. Yeah, but let's go back to your statement. I ordered it by mistake. In these cases, I didn't order anything by mistake. They delivered the wrong thing, or did not. They delivered multiple things. So yes, but their explanation was that what they want me to do is they want me to box up their item at my expense. They want me to drive to the nearest UPS facility, which is 10 miles away, and they want me to deliver it to them. I'm not in Queens. I told you I'm in the country. It's 10 miles away. I said they come here all the time. Why can't you just tell them to pick it up? Oh no, we can't do that. Then they, if you explain to them why it would be inconvenient for you to do this, they say, oh, we'll have somebody pick it up. I said, are you having somebody drop off a label or actually pick it up? Because the last time they dropped off a label and still expected me to drive the 10 miles. I pointed out to them there is a post office like 2 minutes walk from where I am sitting. I said, send me a USPS label and I will deliver it there myself. No. Okay. Well, by the way, the illogic of spending at least $8 to for UPS to take back an item that is worth less than $8 seems to be lost on them, but that's neither here nor there. Anyway, I ended up with some lightning cables I'll probably never use. Oh no, they refused to send me what I should have. Am I on some sort of bad list with them or something? I, I don't. Yeah, but I don't really want to start fighting with customer service representatives. That's not my goal. It's just I say what I think is a completely reasonable thing, which is I did not make a mistake. Why are you asking me to pay for it? And they seem to go into, well, that's our policy. I keep saying, no, that isn't. Your policy is that if I don't like an item and I want to return it, that should be at my expense. They like you. You must be a better customer than I am. So do I. I'm. I don't think I do. It's just every time I do, they make it into a hassle. I get into more fights with the people at Walmart because they have this interesting philosophy of when you order an item and the item doesn't ever ship, they tell you, well, we can't fix the fact that the item didn't ship. What you need to do is we need to cancel the item and have you reorder it again. Apparently, things get stuck in their system all the time. It happens to me. I don't order from Walmart that often, but it happens to me regularly whenever I order an item from them. It happened with the dehumidifier I ordered from them. That they had to essentially send after it didn't come by the date that it was supposed to and it didn't get shipped. They said, well, if it hasn't shipped by now, it will never ship. We'll just cancel the order and you can start all over again. Which makes absolutely no sense to me. But anyway, got $5 out of that. Thought that was nice of them. Of course, 10 would have been nicer, but I'm not greedy. Anyway, that said, let's see what's going on in the world from this list here. Apparently, people have been looking at a new feature in Chrome that is somewhat experimental, which is the following feed. And some people are saying that they're thinking this might be the return of a Google Reader-like experience. I don't disagree. Kevin Purdy at Ars Technica disagrees. Essentially, you have the sort of the battle of the Kevins here, because Kevin Purdy quotes Kevin Toffel of About Chromebooks, who is also Kevin Toffel of Stacy on IoT. So those are, if you've noticed, those are sources I've used before. So they're somewhere in my feed, because I am still an RSS feed reader, because I think they're both dedicated journalists in terms of their tech coverage. So it suggests that they're going to do a feed reading thing, but again, it looks like it's going to be more of a follow feature than necessarily a full reader. So it's still going to use RSS, it's just not going to be necessarily a reader replacement. So it's, yes, it'll have feed reading, it'll be it'll use RSS, but it apparently does not necessarily mean a full Google Reader-like experience, and I'll sort of agree with that assessment. I also enjoyed the fact that they used that opportunity at the end of the article to do a free plug for the fact that Ars Technica has a bunch of RSS feeds, and they have a whole page where they tell you where to find them. And they even note that you could do /author/feed because apparently they're a WordPress site. Why? I'm only pointing that out. Not that I am. I'm not going to say I'm a fan or a detractor of WordPress. I am a user of WordPress who is often critical of it. I don't like where it's been going lately. Well, the thing is, I use it for like blogging sites and like personal projects. Whereas whenever you join anybody in the WordPress community to talk about it, it's how can you use it for your business. So since I'm not interested in using it for a business, I don't seem to fit in anymore. I wonder where people who actually want to write content go. Anyway, that's my WordPress related rant for the day. But either way, a lot of feeds. Feeds are good. By the way, that actually reminds me of a Techno Buffet question that I've been meaning to ask for a while. Is anybody still using the OGG feed? Because every week I go and create an OGG file and upload it for every single episode, and I don't think there are that many people using it. Originally it was there because MP3 had a bunch of licensing issues, which I believe have gone away. So I'm going to ask if anybody wants me to continue the OGCast, which takes me an additional 120 seconds a week, and whatever the storage is for storing 600 OGG files. I'll consider it. However, if nobody is listening and interested, then I don't know why I'm doing it. And I might as well save the storage space. Do you have an opinion, Jerry? 120 seconds to save as, and then a couple seconds to upload, and then another couple of seconds to add the extra metadata to the individual post. And I actually haven't looked recently. Let me see exactly how much storage space the entire run of this show takes up. Give me a second. Okay, the pre-migration episodes in OGG. So the first 570 odd episodes of the show are about 16 gigabytes. Just since we moved over to the Techno Buffet name, we've done about like 25 episodes. That's about 633 megabytes. So I would save 16 gigabytes of storage space by no longer hosting those. By the way, the MP3 version, again, the Android Buffet files come up to about 12 gigabytes. So the OGG actually is slightly larger. Anyway, I'm just saying, if nobody's listening to it, I'd soft deprecate it. I might not get rid of the old ones, but I'm not sure if I want to create new ones if nobody's listening. So I'm just asking for somebody to tell me they actually care. If they do, I've been doing it for a decade now. I'll continue doing it. But anyway, or maybe I'll archive them. So that's that. I'm sorry, the thing with the feeds just reminded me that I've been meaning to mention that for like a year now. That I don't think there might be one person doing it, but I'm not sure if they're really emotionally attached to it. Anyway, there was a nice article celebrating 5 years of Kotlin on Android. People seem to like it. See, I just like the way that they write some of these articles. The Kotlin adoption story started before official support from Google within the Android developer community. The excitement in the community was one of the main reasons to invest in official support. The decision by Google to add support for Kotlin, I think we underestimate how wild a notion that was at the time. The odds of another company that size making a similar decision based on community support and enthusiasm is very low. So, again, interesting. If you are considering Visible, Visible is the Verizon the prepaid plan that they are offering. They've offered a Visible Plus plan. So I thought it was interesting because they launched in 2018, and they're pretty much the only halfway interesting prepaid Verizon type product. If you like the Verizon network, which has its pluses, to be honest, they've been offering a $40 a month plan, and they're essentially, you can't go to a Verizon store; it's all online. It uses an app. So now but now they have two different plans. They have Visible and Visible Plus. So you either get $30 a month or 40, or let's see here, we're $30 a month or 45. So on both of them, you still get 5G and unlimited talk, text, and data. But apparently on the $30 plan, you only get 5G. But on the $45 plan, you can also get 5G ultra wideband and a more premium network experience. Network management, a lot of the MVNO type things, and even though this is a product of Verizon itself, I think they're essentially going to prioritize traffic from people who have the more expensive plan and their own customers. But they also throw in, let's see, at $30 you get unlimited talk and text to Mexico and Canada, but if you go to 45, you also get unlimited talk, text, and data roaming in Mexico and Canada, international calling from the U.S. to 30 countries, and texting to 200 plus countries. Now, I mention this because I keep considering leaving Fi. Well, I'm on the $10 a month Fi plan, where it's $20 base plan, and then it's $10 a month for every gigabyte. Now, they do now have unlimited plans, but there was a time when I did that because I was going places and out of the country, and not having to deal with getting local SIM cards was an advantage. I haven't gone anywhere since 2020. Maybe I am better off going to a country and just getting a local SIM card for the trip, if that happens again. Although I really did enjoy the the Fi message, welcome to Japan, or what have you. Welcoming me to a country and telling me that they're taking care of everything. Other than that, the simple truth, I also have some of their data SIMs, but I barely use them. So I ordered data SIMs for backup devices, but they're almost never on. So maybe I'm better off. I considered going back to Verizon. I considered going, well, $10 per gigabyte. It's $20 for the base plan, so it ends up being 30 plus tax. Assuming I only use 1 gigabyte a month, which I could use a lot more if I wasn't rationing. I used more than that when I took a drive with my brother, and he decided for some odd reason to use the Android Auto in my car to discuss the history of post-Beatles George Harrison music. You think I'm the eccentric one in the family? I'm the normal one. That's scary. Anyway. But as I said, I'm wondering what's, Mint Mobile gets a pretty good rep in terms of what you get for your money. So, and my phone has an eSIM and a physical SIM cartridge. I could essentially have the eSIM for my primary provider and then stick a SIM card in when I go to another country and do dual SIM, which is supported under Android. So as I said, I've thought about it, but right now I'm financing a phone, so if I left, I'd probably have to pay them the rest of the money, which I could live with. But if anybody has any suggestions, I'm just curious. Also, I can get into one of those family share plans if I went back to Verizon. I could take advantage of my family's over 55 discount and just pay them for the extra line. We'll see. There must be a way to save money there and get more. Don't know what it is yet, but I suppose I'll find out. Let's see here. Chrome OS could be getting the at-a-glance feature that Pixel has. So that's the one where essentially it'll be showing you some information about what's going on right now. I don't get very many interesting things in there. I guess I'm not glancing enough. Well, probably better if you had a Gmail account instead of a Workspace account, because they always discriminate against us Workspace people. Yeah. Always nice to pay somebody money so that you get less than somebody who's doing things for free. And even better, the only extra feature you get is unlimited use of Google Meet. Anyway, I'm gonna I'm gonna find a use for it someday. But anytime I suggest using Google Meet, nobody wants to use it. There must be somebody out there using it. If anybody here uses Google Meet on a regular basis for something, and I'm not talking about the recently rebranded Google Duo, I'm talking about like the conference product. So, just tell me, I'm curious. Moving along, apparently Android 13 has an anti-rollback protection feature. So usually you go back if there's a problem to a previous version. However, here you cannot. So apparently this has resulted in at least one phone being bricked. Why did they do that? Apparently it was in response to some vulnerabilities. But again, one would think that they would like upgrade you to a version, and then on like the second release of a major version, then do the anti-rollback. Well, you know how it is. Companies make stupid mistakes all the time. I also included an article on, if you have a Chromebook, how to unlock a Chromebook with your Android phone using Smart Lock. Because I know the thing that I hate the most about using a Chromebook is having to type in my incredibly long password that I never type in anywhere else. Can you do that to log into a Chromebook? Oh, program it with the password? That's an interesting idea. So you can do it like a key reader. I haven't tried to use a YubiKey for that. We'll see. What's the cheapest YubiKey? Oh no, that's a case for a YubiKey. I'll figure it out. Maybe I can get a Fido thing. Is Fido cheaper than YubiKey? Isn't that just like the same family? Here we are. YubiKey Fido NFC, $25. Maybe I should just use the phone. That might be cheaper. Well, I just love the advertisement. More than a password. Yep, I hope so. Anyway, I'll look at that later. Put that up on my screen. So, moving along, the people at Google have said they're bringing readers even more local news. Well, I like Google News, and I'm not going to say that anything other than the fact that they allow me to find news stories that I might want to read. So they aggregate, show me articles, and I do click through to the actual publisher so that they can get whatever benefit they would get. So I never read on the anywhere but on the actual site of the publisher who's doing it. But here, again, they said they're hosting more than 100 news leaders at their annual community news summit, which I didn't know they had. And they've been trying to make Google News better. And they introduced a way to help people identify stories that have been frequently cited by other news organizations, so you can find, again, what may or may not be the most relevant. Well, it's not necessarily a source, because remember, you could have a citation of a citation. You want to go as close to the primary source as possible, and I do tend to go upstream until I run out of things. But sometimes you have like 15 stories that are all using the same source, but you can't actually find the source because the source is behind a wall that you can't access. which annoys me. Either way, I follow a lot of news stories, including for some reason, because I spent so much time over the last few years in Florida. Google thinks I want to know about local Florida news. I think it finally realized I don't want to know about news in Bulgaria, because for like a year after I was there for 2 months, they were sending me these Bulgarian stories. But they still want to tell me about Florida. How about that Brightline? I'm intrigued. A train from South Florida all the way up to Orlando and eventually turning and going all the way to Tampa. And apparently, because they decided to reroute it to be closer to Universal, Disney went and took its ball and went home. Gotta love it. But you know me and my transportation, I do enjoy it. Not being on it, clearly, because I haven't been on a train in a bit, but I like the idea of it. Anyway, moving along. Here's another one of those how-to articles where it points out that Android 13 allows you to control Google Home devices from the Pixel lock screen without unlocking your phone. Well, I decided I was going to try NFC. So my phone has an NFC reader. I assume yours does too, because I assume Apple does that sort of thing. And if you've noticed, the Home Assistant app has the option to program an NFC tag to trigger an automation. And I've never done that. Have you done that? No, I ordered some stickers. So I ordered one pack of stickers to play with this. Because I had this idea, and it came because of my family and a problem with a garage door opener. So every time I go to their garage, there's like one of those keypads that you have to key in a code on and to open the door. And a few years ago, when I was having trouble with their garage, I went and replaced it with a new transmitter, and for only a few dollars more, I was able to make it a connected transmitter. So as in, I could essentially I've hooked it into Home Assistant, so I can actually open and close the door using Home Assistant. So it didn't cost that much more above fixing the problem with the actual, old school clicker working to make it a quote unquote smart garage door. But I still hate using these keypads because they keep running out of batteries and they keep being annoying. So I thought, well, what would happen? I could open it up with my phone, but then I have to unlock my phone, find the right garage door opener, and look at it. What if I put an NFC tag under the keypad, like physical on the side of the garage, ran my phone over it, and that would automatically just open the garage. How does that sound? Yeah. Yeah. Oh no, this is not when I'm in the car. This is when I'm walking up to the garage. Yeah, but I don't need a shortcut to be taking up that much space on my phone just to do this task. I thought it would be a fun use of NFC. If it isn't, then I wasted $8 on a pack of NFC tags. Well, again, it's me playing with the technology. There are some other things I thought of doing with it. I still have that problem of relatives who do not have a device that I can track. So maybe I could put an NFC tag or a Bluetooth tag on them. You think they'd mind if I tagged them for tracking purposes? People are so sensitive. Anyway, Walmart Plus, which is their Amazon Prime equivalent, realized that they don't have a video service that anybody cares about connected to that. So they've decided that if you are a Walmart Plus subscriber, you get Paramount Plus. So essentially, for $12.95 a month, that's Walmart Plus, you get the ad-supported version of Paramount Plus, which is about $5 a month option. Uh, I like Paramount Plus. That's where all the Star Treks are. You know, like Star Trek Discovery and Star Trek Lower Decks and Star Trek Strange New Worlds and Star Trek We Need More Money and whatever the next iteration is. It gives me something to do. It's like one Star Trek is over and the next Star Trek starts. Although it is a slow season. I don't know what I'm supposed to watch right now. Well, I heard that She-Hulk was dropped today. I wonder if that's worth watching. It sounded interesting. A legal procedural with superheroes. That could go really well, or that could be really stupid. I may give it one episode to decide which of those things it is. Anyway, moving along from could be or could be, let's talk about Android 13. So I put in a selection of interesting articles about Android 13 from various sources, including Droid Life, who said that you can get more Material U colors, a new media player, the new notification permission, which I'm sort of looking forward to. That's the one where apps have to ask you permission to keep showing you notifications. That may be annoying, but at least you told them you wanted to see things, or you told them you didn't want to see things, so you can start from a position of 0 or a position of everything. Do you know how many apps I installed and they're sending me random permissions that I didn't expect? Like, I installed the app for my pharmacy so I could get a refill on a prescription if I needed to. They keep telling me when the weekly ad is available. I do not care when the weekly Walgreens ad is available. I will never read the weekly Walgreens ad. But they decided by default that I should know this. Anyway, I'm just using it as an example. I know. I just want to be able to reorder my prescription when I need it. Yeah. Anyway, moving along. The new photo picker is private. So what that is when you go to share a photo with an app, only the photos you select are shared rather than the full library. So essentially the app doesn't get access to everything. It only gets access to what you want it to. Yeah. There's now a shortcut for the QR scanner, which you can get with third-party apps because you can add it to the button, but now there is a built-in thing where you can instantly get your QR code scanner in the quick settings. Your languages can be per app. So you can have one language set at the system level and then others in certain apps. Yeah. Which you do. Well, I know you're in one. Yeah, so you are a good person to comment on this. Okay. If you are using a tablet, apparently you get a taskbar at the bottom. Let's see, spatial audio support, Bluetooth low energy. So Bluetooth low energy for audio is a new feature here. So better audio quality, and you get that broadcast audio to multiple devices at the same time. Yeah. You get device-to-device copying. So you'll be able to copy, if you have both a tablet and a phone that are both running 13, you'll be able to copy content between them using nearby share. You get automatic clipboard clearing. So if you copy in your password, it won't be sitting there to be pasted into a place you don't want it to be. Now, if you are excited about that and you aren't running a Pixel, well, a lot of people aren't running Pixels. The Android open source project has the latest version of Android 13, and that means that it will start rolling out to other devices soon because they'll have the full code. And a few manufacturers, so I understand it, get it in advance. In addition to some of the things mentioned earlier, the official Google blog article mentions that it includes faster hyphenation, which optimizes hyphenation performances by as much as 200%. Yeah, I just find it interesting that that's the statement. We've optimized hyphenation performance. It just seems like a weird thing to optimize, but we may have. Did we talk about hyphenation? I'm trying to remember. I think I remember that. We talk about a lot of things. Yeah. So there's a new API that makes it easier for users to discover quick setting tiles. So an app can now prompt a user to directly add a custom tile in a single step without leaving the app. Oh, here's the really fun thing. It adds support for the MIDI 2 standard. You know, the one that's used for like musical controllers? Like, yeah, MIDI. What did I say? MIDI? MIDI? Potato, potato, tomato, tomato, whatever. So a lot of like little things. Like there are a few other interesting things, optimizations, permissions, etc. So a lot of interesting things there. And as I said, there are some additional stories here. I even included one article, 9 to 5 Google, which is another one of those sources I cite regularly. They actually posted an article which was essentially a summary of the entire Android 13 Pixel changelog. So if you really want to dig into all of the things in the changelog, there are a lot of them. Like fix for issue preventing connection over over Ethernet in certain conditions. Fix for issue causing grayed out shutter button when adjusting zoom level in certain conditions. General usability improvements for fingerprint enrollment. Improvements for fingerprint unlock in different lighting conditions. Fix to improve fingerprint haptics, latency, and response during unlock. Well, the fingerprint reader on the Pixel 6 has been annoying me. I'm not the biggest fan of the in-screen ones, but it is what it is. I like the back. I was used to the back, but it is what it is. I wanted a new phone, so I got a new phone, and I have to deal with what was available. Anyway, if you are interested in helping develop the next generation of the Google Home app, the company apparently is looking for help redesigning it. They're recruiting for beta testers. So if you're willing to sign an NDA, you can participate in the testing process. Yay. Yep. And if you are interested in distribution numbers, Android Police apparently has come up with these statistics that Android 12 is now on one of every 8 devices. So, yeah, but not everything. Remember, it's been out for a while now. So, 13.5% of devices have Android 12. Android 11 is at 40.5%. Android 10 is at 62.8%. How are they figuring this out? Because it's saying 13.5, 40. These numbers don't add up for me. I'm misreading them somewhere. Here we are. Disparate share. I'm looking at the wrong table. Android 12 is 13.5. It's Android 11 is 27, and then 10 is 18.8. 9 is 14.5, and then it goes down below 10. So let's see what else we have here. Here's one. Google wants to remind you that using two-factor authentication doesn't have to be a drag. Oh, you got that one? Why was it funny? You have to explain the jokes to the people or they don't get them. Okay. Yes, so essentially, they've enlisted the help of drag personality Trixie Mattel to promote the use of two-factor authentication through their Safer with Google initiative. I'm not quite sure how those two things connect, but if they found somebody to encourage people to use two-step, so much more of the power to them. Another article that I thought was interesting. Android Police is really running up the show notes this week. Android 13's best accessibility features. So if you are an accessibility advocate or somebody who relies on accessibility assistance, there were some improvements in Android 13. So audio description is available on all apps. It supports out-of-the-box Braille displays. The improvements to audible feedback with TalkBack, text modification, which allows you to increase the text size system-wide, magnification to increase everything on the screen, color and motion settings to help people who are visually impaired and people with neurologic and vestibular conditions, real-time text, and of course, even more. So even though I don't need those things, I appreciate they're there. If you are upset that you don't have the photo picker, apparently Google is working to bring it to older devices. Yeah, I thought so. And here in New York City, Google's on an Airbus. Well, they're in New York City because, as I said, I'm not sitting in New York City right now, but I will be later in the week. They kicked off a Get the Message RCS campaign. So they have digital billboards in New York City that are going after Apple for not participating in the RCS protocol. So here's one of them. Hey, Apple, it's Android. The smiling cyclist thread isn't happy about this, and smile is literally in their name. Mind fixing. I don't know. I didn't think it was funny, but I get the idea. They're going after how Android to iPhone texting results in low resolution images because it's only supporting the old MMS standard. You think that they would just not necessarily adopt it as their thing, but you think they would interoperate. Enough people. Well, no, enough people in the world use Android devices that I would assume that iPhone users would want to be able to communicate with people who aren't on the same platform as them without it suffering. I'm lovely. I feel like a plebeian. Anyway, every week the people at the Workspace blog talk about all of the wonderful things that are happening on Workspace. These are all the things that remember that I'm paying for. Easily assigned tasks from Google Docs. So essentially I can assign a checklist from Docs to myself or a colleague. I can essentially understand how I'm spending my time with new color categorization. So these are all work features I should be excited about. Except I don't use my Google account for work. So exciting. Here's one. See how much noise is being removed during Google Meet video calls. So they'll actually show you how much noise is being removed if I use Google Meet. Now, speaking of Google Meet, Just remember, if you are a user of Google Duo, Google Duo is now Google Meet, and Google Meet is now nothing. Well, again, I am not going to be particularly sad about the idea that I have one less app. Remember, I was sort of forced to use Meet because it's built into Gmail, so even if I could turn it off, but it was still on my system, one way or the other. But ultimately speaking, I told you I did use Duo because I used to use it to call from smart displays over to other smart displays. So I put in the article about what they're essentially launching, which is their One app, which will be the replacement for the Duo app. So you can also start a video call with your entire group at a recurring scheduled time. Live sharing, which means you can essentially, again, which we talked about previously, that it was coming, which is co-watching videos or playing games. And they're going to be doing more. So I look forward to it becoming a consumer product that I might actually use. And finally, in one final interesting story, Ars Technica also came back and wrote a story about a man who built an ISP instead of paying Comcast $50,000, has expanded his ISP to hundreds of homes. And government assistance, which I'm not against. Yeah. Yeah, so essentially he built a fiber to his home provider because he couldn't get broadband service. So he started out for himself, and then he started a small business providing service to about 30 rural homes. He now has 70 customers and will add 600 more with money from essentially a government recovery plan. So the government has been advocating for increased broadband in rural areas. This guy's willing to do it. Comcast and AT&T aren't. So he filed to get grant money. He got grant money, and he's doing it. Yeah. He has 14 miles of fiber. He's going to build another 38 to complete the government-funded project. And it'll be $55 a month for 100 megabits with unlimited data. And even though his contract requires service to 417 locations in various parts of Michigan, he's going to pass 596 potential customers. Well, this is sort of the thing. It proves that Comcast and AT&T are not necessarily motivated to serve these people. Whereas this guy's motivated, he's willing to do it, he needs a little help. This is where it's sort of, okay, give him a grant and help him do something. So if you look, when this guy originally started, Comcast wanted to charge him $50,000 to extend cable to his house. And again, that would be even if your neighbors already have Comcast. AT&T only has DSL in his neighborhood. And the guy in question, even though he's operating an ISP, his day job is he's a network architect at Akamai. Yeah, I like to hear that somebody is finding a solution, they're getting help to find that solution. And yeah. I'm sure he figured it out. But I was looking at, if you read the story, he has all these sort of interesting comments, like he bought an industrial air compressor at a government liquidation auction. Yeah, it's all. No, I'm saying it's all the stuff he did is very interesting, but it doesn't say how he. I assume he contracted with somebody to hook into their network at some point. That's what I'm wondering. You could ask. No, I'm saying you could ask somebody who knows. I'm saying I'm intrigued by this gentleman as you are, but what I'm saying is I don't know if I have the answers about how he actually connected. But if you look at the website for the Washtenaw Fiber Properties, it's a very basic website. But I don't. All I see on the website is they're accepting signups for expansion. Complete a form here so they can sign track service. If you have a pink flag nearby, please read this page. So if somebody sees this flag, they can call or visit this website to know that there's a proposed location nearby that might be able to provide them with fiber. And they've said that, yeah, he even has a video about, oh, this might be interesting. He gave a talk that is linked on the website, starting a telecom company in 2019. So maybe the answers to those questions are in the video that's on the Washtenaw Fiber Properties LLC website, which is washftt.com. So you could check and see if the video answers the question. It probably tells the story better than an article. But I'd like to see more communities do this. And rather than what's been happening, which is, if you've noticed, cable companies seem to be threatened, and they go and they pay lobbyists to convince local government to construct laws that prevent people from doing things like this. Which I don't know. Are we on the same page about that not being a good thing? Okay. Well, we're not always in alignment on things. So in this case, I believe in free enterprise. I believe there are certain things that have to be reined in about companies. But I think if a company wants to, if doesn't want to provide service, that they should not be writing regulations to prevent competition, whether that be government competition or government-assisted competition. But anyway, because there's one thing that if a company is afraid that somebody else can do it cheaper and better than they can, then they should be better. They shouldn't go and try to take the money they could have spent on being better and spend it to convince government officials to do something. Anyway, happens too often. So that brings us to the end of this week. I have some stuff in my Amazon cart. Well, I have that $8 from them sending me their own cable burning a hole in my gift card. Yeah, I'll see if I can order an alternative situation with the microphone, because this is annoying me. Yeah. Why were you suggesting I upgrade to Prime? No, maybe they like you because you're a Floridian. I don't know. Maybe you talk to them at a time of day where you get a different call center. No, I chat with them. Oh, you've never used... I push the button on the website and they try to charge me a restocking fee. Oh, well. Or they try to get me to drive 10 miles. But, yeah. Anyway, I don't know. Shall we adjourn until next week, where we will do other things and talk about other stuff? Until then, goodbye. Let me stream off.